Let me share a perspective with you, considering all our finance folks. And how Power BI can help us automate things and make our life easy. So I'm just sharing one of the dashboards that I prepared using Power BI, and this is my first dashboard. Looking at this, we can easily see that this is basically on a portfolio. So we have a big portfolio here, and there are multiple entities that you can see, multiple filters here, and these are advisors. So, and this is this is dynamic. So it covers different metrics, and all these things are in one go. They just, kind of on a click of a button, and I spent few days building this. So, but now it is saving me a lot of time every month. So let's talk about it. So even these headers are, they are also dynamic. If you select here, change the entity, it changes with the entity. If you change the month, it changes with the month as well. So that's a good thing about it. And we'll talk about all those things if you see, because this combination is not right. So hence it has basically all the other data is not available here. So this combination, because in this entity, there is no MS. So if I move it to the next one, it automatically, everything will come back. So this is, let me just, I'll go through detail about it, but this just to give you a flavor how everything can be automated, using Power BI.
This is basically, all these are updated with our selection, and you will see even these the headers are also selected, and they are also dynamic, right? So let's say if I'm changing to July, so my header will change to July, right? So maybe it is taking some time for some reason, but it'll change to July. And if I'm changing my company, let's say here from ZSF to MG3, so it will change to this as well. So all these things are dynamic. So one further step that I've taken out of this is, let's say if we just give me, it's still loading. So this, you may see, this is what, it has kind of broken because I've not selected here any advisor name, right? That's the reason it is showing as a cross. So I'm just trying to work if it is not there, so it will show not selected, right? So now if I right click on this one, and for some reason it is slow. And if I go to this drill through, right click, drill through, and monthly analysis, let's say, right? So here I have kind of, added one more sheet basically, which gives me a kind of, major drivers of growth and degrowth. So you can say that, they are the top performers, they are the top underperformers. Like, because most of us are from the finance R2R kind of background. So you can say this is when we are doing our monthly analysis. So what has moved in what direction? So what has, given a negative variance, what has given a positive variance kind of thing, you can say. So that's the reason I've just given a color coding also, red and green. And this whole thing gives me a list of all my assets or securities within that list. And this is my month-on-month growth. And this is same data points that I had given to my earlier screen. So if I were to go back, you see this on the left top corner. So this is basically an arrow. And if you control and click on this one, it takes you back to the same screen, old dashboard that we were working on. So I'll select one of this, let's say. So you can just keep on selecting, deselecting, and then analyzing. So, right click and analyze, drill through and analyze. So it will basically give you a good summary. So this is a kind of, you can understand this is a possibilities or potential, a very small glimpse of it. It has much more potential than this. But this is what I have done at the moment. So I have basically kind of, three days or more kind of a work. I have now, it is on a click away basically. So I've spent, of course, initially few hours building it, or not even few hours. It took me, because I was learning and building, so a few days. And then basically now it has become just a click away, right, for me. So this is how we can automate a lot of our stuff. And you would see, if we move forward, so we can do a complete P&L, complete balance sheet, complete budgeting process, complete analysis. So all those things on its own automatically. So that is also important aspect to know. And then other thing we can just see is here. If you see, this is a, I just right clicked on, let's say, one of the buttons or one of the visuals, right? So here I'm on this column chart. And if I just do right click and then do analyze and explain the increase, and many a time it will give me different things to explaining the increase. So that depends on the data quality and what kind of data we have, but it will give you a different kind of assets, let's say this kind of thing. So on its own, that how it has gone up from a period before and period now, let's say. So from July till August, what has gone up? So this has gone up by this much, and so given me a waterfall chart, and which can be added just by a click of a button. So it can just be added another analysis point, let's say, to share. This is another thing that it has given me, that what has gone up. So it is basically now asset class wise. So my direct equities that has gone up by 100,000. My managed funds have gone up by, let's say, 500,000. So this is kind of, we don't have to do that extra analysis on its own. So it just gave me that kind of numbers, and we can change if we want to kind of, change the analysis or the visual of the analysis. But I think, it gave the best from its understanding, right? So I'm just clicking, let's say, the tick mark. So it is slow for some reason. So, but anyways, right. So, okay. So are we able to follow so far that what potential it can and how it can help? Yeah.
Yeah, so far so good. This is very vast, actually.
Yes, this is definitely, you're right. It is very vast. But when in this world, when everyone is talking about automation and everything, so this is basically something that we can all leverage. And this is all free stuff. This is nothing that we need to buy even for a single penny, right?
True.
That is one thing, and it can be used, let's say, for your office thing or anything else, but depending upon your company's policies and all those other stuff. All right, so let me just push it down, and then we'll open our Power BI desktop from fresh, and then we'll talk about what it is and what it can offer us, right? So, and if you guys want to do it along me, so I can do it. So maybe I'm just running my Power BI app, Power BI desktop app basically. It's on the other screen. I'll move it. Yeah. You can see my screen, right? It's Power BI's app is loading. It takes a few moments to load. It has gone to other screen, so Let me just, now probably it will be easy because I'm just switching off my other, second screen. Yeah, so you can see now, this is basically the screen that we get when we load Power BI. Okay, I'll just, close this window once and then we'll have a easy go. Right, so this is how our first Power BI desktop, blank desktop looks like, right? It has got multiple panes and it has got different sections. And when we look at the first go, it if we are learning and we are seeing it for the first time, it may look, okay, I don't know what it is, and all those kind of stuff. But what I'll try and do is I'll just try and explain you what are the different sections of this particular desktop, what all we expect and see here, and what is the role, right? So first is that this top section, which we have seen, it's all the applications with Excel or Word. We have this top ribbon, which has got home button, insert, modeling, view, help, and external tool is something which we can talk about later. So file is normal, that what file we are doing, right? Or it's the same kind of functions as we would have seen. Home has got different sections, let's say, to it. This is one section is this, which is called data section, right? Which we will be using to import data in Power BI. And second is transform queries data. Third is insert visual data, which will, which we may or may not use, let's say. Fourth is, let's say, this called calculations data, calculations, section here, which is again one thing. Let's say in Power BI, when we are trying to automate, we do some, let's say, calculations, and those calculations are known as measures, right? In Excel, you would have seen, okay, this function and that function we recall, or we can just start typing and that function. So here, those functions are called measures, basically. So this is a quick measure, or this thing, and we'll have multiple ways how we can add measures. So sensitivity is something analysis related, and publish is basically when we have advanced and we have analytics services, license taken by them, then we can publish it and share it with others in a different way, right? So then we have this insert button. So insert tab is basically to insert some visuals, what kind of visuals we want to have on our, and this is not the only way to insert a visual. We'll see other way also. And then these are some artificial intelligence visuals. So Power BI is smart enough to basically give you some insights on its own, like one we saw, wherein it automatically created some waterfall charts for us. So this is some advanced, things. So paginated reports and all those kind of things is basically when you have large reports and you want to share it all, and that comes like a scrollable PDF report. But that's again a paid service available in the full-fledged analytics services option. And then we have some of the other elements, which is, let's say, buttons and shapes and your bookmarks, etc. So modeling is basically, this is data related to data modeling. So here there are some advanced stuff like what if analysis here. So we can create an independent table and use that independent table to create some scenarios. And this is basically just to add a data table, let's say, in case if we need to add to. So this is some other stuff. So nothing that important except for this section here. So here we have some filters. Again, we'll see some filters on the right side of our desktop. And then some bookmarks, which is again a little bit, we can say a button like a thing, right? And performance analyzer and all those things are little advanced, how's our model performance, basically how much time it's taking and what is taking what time. So which measure is taking how much time, and the whole model or whole dashboard, how much time it will take to load, and so on. So, and this is an external tool. There are some, you can, whatever you're doing, you can analyze that in Excel. So which is a Power Pivot and little more work than Excel. And then this is basically a DAX Studio, which is, again, we'll talk about that in future. It's a topic of its own in a different class, right? So, and you may have a question that if we are going to analyze in Excel, right? So, or we want to analyze in Excel, then why PowerPoint? So it's not necessarily that you want to analyze in Excel. You can analyze in Power BI itself, but many people feel more comfortable in Excel, so they may want to analyze some section of the data in Excel. And second thing is that Excel can afford or can incorporate only, let's say, if I just use, let's say, every little row is about 1 million rows. But that's, again, if you add 1 million rows, Excel will, start crying and stop working. It won't work, right? Sorry. So that's a reason. But Power BI can handle 10 million, 20, 30, 50 million, or maybe, people are using Power BI for 1 billion kind of rows as well. So that can easily, do that kind of stuff. So then we come on this right side, left side of the panel, we have got these three boxes, icons here. If you see my mouse, right? So on the left side, below Analyze in Excel. So one is that that column chart that we're seeing at the moment. So here, this is basically which we call this space, whole white space is called as your canvas. So here you can just, drag and drop all your whatever you want to, let's say, have. So this is a kind of, this is this screen. So I may have as many as I want, just click another one. I can add another one. I can, let's say, have this one. I can, this is what is this. This is a particular section. So this is basically how we have created that dashboard, right? Then next is this section is where we see the tables. I'll just go back to my, this one, so it's easy. So here, let's say this is what we have, all those drag and drop stuff. And this is the view that we have for table. So these on the right side here, see, this is a fields pane, right? So fields pane is showing me what all different tables I have in my data model, right? So I can, if I want to look at data, so what is my data, what all. So this is what table view is showing me. Third is this. This is basically, again, this is also called a modeling tab, right? Here, what I've done is I've built some relationships between one table to another table, right? So why do we build a relationship? Is basically so that we don't have to have everything in one table, and we just use a relationship to do our analysis, basically, right? In Excel, we would have a single flat table, which has all different data fields, right? So if a customer is there, so it has customer name, also it has customer key also, and so on. So if a customer has bought for 100 times, so that would, those all details will come for 100 times. So product details will come for all the, as many rows, let's say. But that is what a data modeling comes in. So we have some, in easier words to say, we can say that we have some master data and we have some transactional data. And then we link the master data keys to the transaction data fields so that then we can manipulate the data. So these three sections are basically for this area. And we can talk about it, let's say, in future. And so we can just, play around whatever we want to have it. And there is a schema also that is generally used as a star schema to create the relationships, right? And then we basically, let's say, going back to this, on the right-hand side now, if you see in the center, this is a canvas where we have all different metrics. And the right-hand side, then we have a filters pane, and then we have a visualization. pane, and then we have some fields pane. So fields pane is basically all the tables and the, within those tables, what are the columns that we have, right? Another point to understand and keep in mind in Power BI that there is no field here. Here, everything is about column. Like in Excel, we can say, okay, this is A10 field or a cell A10. Here, there is no cell. Here, everything is about columns only. So it's a columnar database model, you can say, right? So all the measures, let's say, you see how many measures I have created in this. So these are different measures. So these are measure meaning different calculations. And these calculations will modify as per my selections and the filters that I put in. So that is why we can do the modifications. You may also see, let's say, I'm just rushing up a bit in the interest of time because we just left with 5 minutes. So, but this is just to give an idea. We may have different ways. Let's say if I'm looking at this data, and here, if I click on this values pane here, not values here, maybe, because I may not have that data handy. Okay. Yeah, show values as no calculation and % of grand total, right? So if I right click and show this, so these values can be some way it is shown, let's say sum or average or whatever we want to show it, or no calculation. But that is called implicit or implicit. So it is system is basically, or Power BI is allowing you to do something, right, or doing it for you. But you don't want to do that and you want to control the flow. So that's the reason we create these measures here. We can talk about it as we are moving on. We'll move on in the next sessions, that what it is and how do we control it. Now this section is very important for us to understand. So these are different visuals that we have used. Let's say here I've used this visual, this one. Here I've used a stack chart, this one, and I've used here a simple line chart, which is this one. This is nothing but, let's say, a multi-card selection, this one. So there are multiple, this is your simple donut chart, let's say here. So multiple, things, and let's say if someone is good with R or Python, so they can leverage Python and R also here. And when we go here, so if once we are logged into this, Power BI, right? So and then we can import even more visuals. Let's say I just click on here, and if someone is, saying, okay, no, this is not good enough for me. So let's say we have a complete this thing, we can download more visuals for us to use. So this has got a lot of potential in this, because this is a kind of, but important thing is again that what do we use where? So that is again something important that we will learn over a period of time. And then this third one here is basically about filter pane. So this is a filters section here. So filter section is basically here we can have, let's say, this visual, and we have visuals or filters that we have used only for this visual, if you see this one, or we want to have a visual which is based on filters which is for this page, whole page, right? And then we want to have a filters which is for all the pages. You see there are multiple pages like Excel sheets, right? So that is another important thing, because that is what we need to kind of do. So one last thing, as we are just having last minute, is let's say if I'm selected this, horizontal bar chart. So if I, by mistake, my selection is this, and if I click on any other chart, so it will basically change. And if you want to basically insert a new visual, so what we need to do is we need to click somewhere else in the open place and then only click a new visual. Otherwise, it will basically change the existing visual, right? So that is important aspect to note. So I think we are done, and we are already just a minute left. So maybe if you have any questions or anything, you may just want to kind of try it out. So it was a short time and we already lost, let's say, initial 10-15 minutes. But still, I think, if you got something. And we may continue in the next sessions. And if you have any questions in the meanwhile, you may drop on that our group, so we can take that in the next session. I hope it added some value. Any things you guys have to say?
Again, this is great, Asim, for an introductory session. As of now, I had no clue for the Power BI. Now I at least know how and what things works and how it can be utilized in our reportings and matrices.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just looking forward to learn more and to explore this more.
So yeah, definitely it will be kind of, as we move on, we will have, and many people who knows much more than me will be interested even in sharing further, right? So that is, thank you all, because I just don't want this meeting to kind of